Alright guys, welcome to another tutorial that I felt like doing. I'm going to start building a lot of tracks again. Just finishing my real life responsibilities, and right now I have a lot of free time now again, so let's build something. So for this tutorial, we're going to build 4 switches or more that open up a door. So meaning that you're going to have a couple of switches that'll open up a door. We'll use the airport. I'll just throw in a random rider here. I'll start new so you guys know what to do. Alright, so I'm gonna set this up all from scratch so you guys could see what I'm doing. Obviously, I am, making a collision so I don't finish by accident, right? And doing some normal editing stuff, right? Alright, so we got that into position, we're good. Okay. Alright, so we're obviously going to make the switch, right? So the switch, we're going to go to a random door. I'm guessing you guys all have the DLC. If you don't, then you could use anything. I'm just using a simple door frame that's already pre-made here for me to use. And let's just pretend that there's walls all around us. And this top part right here, there's a wall. So there's a wall here. And since sometimes Trials is a 2D, so this one's going to be 2D, this is going to be a wall here. This is just sloppy, I don't want to get into fine detail or anything. Just giving you guys a visual example. This is a wall, right? Okay. Since the sun is in the way, we're going to go to our settings. I'm going to turn off music. We don't even have music anyway. We're going to change our longitude. We're going to change our latitude. We're going to change our sun angle so we could see the overall look at a map, give some sort of depth and shadow and everything. So now our sun source is 90 degrees, somewhat around the sky. Because I set it like that. I memorize it because I've been working with this editor for a long time. Camera needs to be the same. If you want to get the 2D perspective, you could just, realign everything and get that nice 2D feel. If you want a more visual example on the wall, that's the wall right here. Okay, so there's a wall, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make a tutorial. Spend 5 minutes already setting this up. So if you already know how to do this, just skip it. Right, this is going to be my door. Now we're going to glue this door. I'm going to put the door more inside because we're going to animate the door to go like that. Alright, so okay, a little Z Fighter glitch going on there. Well, doesn't matter. Okay, so basically I don't want to get into fine details. It's going to take forever. Alright. So, 4 switches to open the door. We're going to have, obviously, the 4 switches, right? So we're going to need to invent 4 switches. So the 4 switches are going to be here on the ground. Alright, totally forgot about the 4 switches, even though this is the title of my video. Okay, let's say screw it. We'll put it through the floor. Alright, so there's our first switch. Okay, there's our second switch. There's our third switch. And there's our fourth switch. The reason why I know it's in the center is because the blue line is being highlighted. Okay, so those are our 4 switches. We got to hit all of them in any order and the door will open. And this is how I'm going to show you. There's probably a little mutatus way of doing this. I'm going to say that because, you know, his stuff is pretty advanced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my own mechanism for this to work. Now make sure when you set up these mechanisms they work and they're not colliding with any collision or any physics. You gotta make sure it's out in the world somewhere. Actually, you know what? You gotta make sure that it's physics, and if it doesn't have well, you know what? I can't say that. Make sure it's within the physics bubble range of the rider. You know what I mean? Because this is going to require some physics to make it move, and there's only one source of physics in the game, which is the physics bubble, which is this bubble right here. Right? You see, it's showing a visual example. Always show visualization. This is a standard, I think, what is it, 20 meters or something? So this sphere, make sure it's within this sphere. Or contains more frame rate lag. So the mechanism for starting this door, let's say we're going to put this to 90 meters, and 90 meters is usually pretty decent. So our mechanism is going to go back here. The rider cannot see it. When increasing your physics range, you will notice more lag, but only if there's a lot of stuff to render or a lot of physical stuff in the area. Remember that. You could always make it long, as long as your map is not extremely almost max complexity, you don't have to worry about it. Trials on Xbox One especially is very linear. It could handle a lot. So we're going to make, let's make this smaller. We're going to make a box. But before making a box, we're going to make a collision box. The collision box is going to be pretty big. The collision box, right, is going to have collision walls. Make sure the collision box has collision walls. But you know what? Even better. Even better. I just thought about this. Damn, this is going to make my thing even more complicated. Alright, never mind. So, this is going to be switch 1. Okay, switch 1. Switch 2, switch 3, switch 4. Remember, it's all in order. So we're going to say, using the number system, so we know exactly what we are doing. Switch 1, switch 2, switch 3, switch 4. Now what we could do is we could glue all these together, well not all together but individually as 4 separate sets. So now we know our numbers. Now we're going to use our brains to triangulate what's in front of our eyes and what's behind our eyes. At the same time, coordination applies as well. So this is our mechanism. So it's in 3 different odd numbers, 24, 13, okay? In a different set of an algorithm, okay? So what it's going to happen is, since it's within the physics bubble range, we don't have to worry about it. We're going to take our field right here and we're going to do that. Now we are going to say, we're going to align all these pretty good and pretty amazing. And then what's going to happen is we're going to get something even better. Now this is a trick that I like to use a lot. That can work. Alright, we're going to make this visibility off, and then we're going to turn on collision, contact response. So meaning this invisible object that we cannot see is going to be our object. It's visible, but not that visible. So we're going to turn it on so we could see it. I probably should have set this up beforehand. That's what I like doing. So it's a lot easier for you guys to navigate through my walkthrough here. The reason why I'm doing this is because I want you to be able to see what is happening while I'm doing this. Okay, the whole thing works. Are we cutting through here? You don't have to do it like the way I'm doing. You can make it so it's on an angle. So whatever I'm trying to do here, you'll see in a second. Okay, so its visibility is off. Make sure contact response is on, and it should work. We're going to make sure that... Oh, damn it, we forgot to do this. Damn it. I think this just should be fine. We're also going to turn down the friction all the way. We're also going to make the friction below us all the way no friction, so it's like ice. So there's no problems. Okay. Now we obviously want something to block it so it doesn't escape. Okay. No, don't want to lock it at the driving line. Okay. Now our mechanism is set. Now while our mechanism is being set, we're going to have a ball, a sphere, a little bigger probably. I don't know if that's too big. The sphere is going to be inside. It's going to have physics. Alright, so our sphere has physics. Alright, now we are going to have a area effector. going to be a little large, like this. So our air effector is going to push force in that approximate direction. We're going to use 1,000 meters first to see what happens. We're going to take off bike and ride and use dynamic objects. And we're also going to say object instances as a precaution. Okay, it's always going to be physically abled. Okay, looks like it's running smooth. Let's turn up the velocity meter on our okay, so while this object is being pushed forward, this object right here will then collide with another functionality, which is going to trigger another functionality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a collision box, or a trigger box, sorry, and then I'm going to make it so it's really close to the cube, right? If it lets me select it, because the invisible walls are there, so it's not going to. Okay. And then we're going to say triggered by object instances, which is the ball. Now the trigger field, okay, is going to be half the triggering by a certain mechanicality. Okay, so we're going to tie this with a state event. Okay, no, even better. Even better. Remember, if you have multiple impulses receiving at once, we're going to tie this with an impulse splitter. So this is going to be on hit to an impulse splitter. Okay, the impulse splitter then can decide what impulses it's going to share. So we're going to have a state event. We're going to have a sound event. Okay. Our sound event is then going to have another sound event, which is in an off state. Then we're going to have a delayed impulse, so we could delay that state and time that state to a different state. So we're going to say share as filter, so it passes through the filter. The filter will say, okay, we're going to play the sound for this amount of time, then after that's done, we're going to share it with the off switch. Now the animation switch is going to have a specific animation. So we're going to have a linear data source. This on state event is going to share an event with the linear data source. But now the object needs to know how to move. So we're going to use the object position event, known as the OPE. The OPE is probably going to be a position Y. So we're going to say position Y. But in order this to work, we need an interval trigger. An interval trigger makes stuff move on its own and gives certain functionalities to stationary objects to give them power to make them work, almost like an engine in real life. Therefore, we're going to set the sig to 1, or it's going to go in sequences. Then we're going to share filter. Okay? Now our animation is working properly. Now we can go to our door and animate our door. Our door is in the correct orientation position. We don't want our door to go that fast. Let's say 3. 3 is fine. Then we're going to say how long is it going to take? We're going to say 4 seconds. Then we're going to say quadratic ease in out. So meaning that it will take 4 seconds to open and then close very slowly, like a realistic door. Now, all we have to do is turn it off, and the state will turn it on whenever we want to activate the door as functioning properly. Okay? Alright, so actually the 1, 2, 3 is bad. I was just showing you an example. Doesn't matter what order the door is, it shouldn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So right now we kind of screwed ourselves here. So we're just going to follow the order of the numbers. Okay? Just giving you a visual example here. What is going on here, really? Okay, we'll figure it out. I don't want to make this tutorial any longer. Okay, so now we could share our impulse triggers. Now let's have a sound for a door. The sound for the door shall be a looping sound source that's already custom made for making maps. We're gonna go to some sort of motors. Alright, we're going to use this sound. The sound looks like an electronic door. Then we're going to turn it to static, so it plays everywhere in the world. Then we're going to customize most events. So we're going to turn the event off. We're going to set this to 4 seconds. Okay. Now we also need another sound event and another sound event. Okay, ignore all this. We're just going to uncheck it. We are not going to use that. We're going to say no filter. We're going to say no filter. We're just borrowing it, pretty much. Now we're going to say on. We're going to actually use the same setting on this, except only we're going to say share with this only. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm making a different type of sound source, and then since this is a multitasker impulse, I'm going to share it up here. So after 4 seconds there will be a boom. The starting will be a boom. Okay, so our boom start is going to be static. Door slam? No. Okay, we're going to say that as a alright, so we got it. Alright, so we got our functionality for our door. Our door is working, okay? It even took 24 minutes, I'm sorry. But these things take time. Alright, so that door functionality works. Now we know it's going to work, because it is going to work, alright? And so while that is already set up, now we're going to set up the ball, right? Which is a little easier. Okay, so every single one of these blocks is going to have an animation. Since I already showed you how to set up an animation, I already have one here, so I don't have to keep setting it up over and over and over again. It's a pre-made setup functionality for animations. I called it a spinning animation and spelled spinning wrong. Okay, so now we're going to align it so we know what we're doing, so it's not sloppy. And we're going to change the position to position Y, I hope, because this is a glued object. But anyways, we're going to have multiplied this by 4. Okay, we have 4 animations. Then we're going to manually select each block, so it could animate. Alright, so each block is being animated. Okay? Now, we probably should have done this the other way around, but that's how it is. Okay. So, each animation has to be doing it for 1. Alright, so we're going to multi-select all the animations. We're going to say duration of 16 milliseconds. We're going to say 5. We're going to say 10 just in case. Okay? And let's see how that works. See, it works. So our trigger's working. Alright, but we don't want that to happen. Now, since that is working, we're going to turn all these off, and we're going to apply them with state events. Okay, so now we're going to throw in a bunch of state events. I don't know what I heard outside. I heard some sort of like a missile or jet plane outside of my house just now. Probably could be the wind. Okay. So we got all those functionalities set. Now we got to tell it what to do. So since I'm showing you a visual example, it's better to do this differently, okay? So we're going to say this is 1, but 1's going to be a different number. So we're going to confuse you. I'm going to confuse you a bit. Alright? Alright, so that's 1. This is 2. This is 3. And this is 4. Any order doesn't matter. Okay? Now we're going to say that this is 1, but we're not going to go to 1 now. We're going to go to 2. Okay? I don't even want to do this because I'm going to have a... Alright. To make this better now. We're going to have 1 impulse splitter. Actually, we're going to have 4 impulse splitters. We're going to say 1. Well, it doesn't really matter anyways what we're going to say. Alright, so this is going to be 1. This is going to be 2. This is going to be 3. This is going to be 4. The reason why I'm doing it like this is because it looks more legit. This is the amateur way of doing it. I'm sure there's a better, more technical way of doing this. I just never really experimented yet. Probably it's going to take a lot of work. Alright. So usually when you have 4 switches like this, there's going to be like little buttons on the wall. So since there's some at the airport, I'm going to use these customizable function buttons. You know what I mean? Alright. So we're just going to have the 4 buttons that we're going to activate, just in the standard order. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So we're going to have all these buttons are going to be emission on, but black. Okay? It's a little trick that I just figured out. Alright, now we're going to have color events. I hope we could share 2 colors with 1 color event. Yeah, there we go, color event. And then our color event, we're going to say we want red. And we're going to select event targets. We're going to say red, red. Alright, we're going to uncheck that. Check this. We're going to uncheck that. And check this. We're going to uncheck that one again. And check the top one. Alright. Now we're going to share an impulse again with these. Now we're going to do one more thing, so we're going to add a bonus thing. We're going to do a sound event, sound event, sound event, sound event, and then we're going to do the same thing again. And then we're going to Alright, trigger signals. Alright. They're not aligned, but they don't need to be aligned. Okay, so now we have all the trigger signals, everything's working properly, and we can see what's going on. Okay, this is just showing you a random setup. This usually works better if the targets are in different alternate locations and everything like that works, but this mechanic should help. The camera all the way back here so we could see. Now there's going to be more of a something going on here. Okay, so I think we're set up pretty good. Let's just give it a test ride, alright? Alright. The ball is still running. Alright, let's say we press right. Make sure the last switch is always, always the switch. And then after a certain amount of time, you could also turn off the physics, that item. So I hope that makes sense. I'm sure there's a better way of doing this, but this is the way I figured out. If you wanted to make 4 or more switches within the physics bubble range, you can do this exact setup I did, and then you could actually do it. Alright, and the same thing applies with anything else. So this is just a simple tutorial, a simple functionality, mechanical device that I've just figured it out to invent. So if you wanted to make, you activate 10 switches. After those 10 switches are activated, you can unlock a door, but it has to activate all those switches first. So this is just one way, as a creative way, to make that happen. I'm sure there is a more mechanical way of doing this, okay? But for those who do not know, there's always an easier way out. There's any way possible. So this is just my setup. I hope you guys loved it. I know it was a long tutorial, but it was a lot to do. And that's just a simple example how to make 4 switches open up 1 door. Okay? So this is Sane, Legend, and I'm out. Okay? Alright, bye.